Again, just appreciate you all being here. I think if you look at our class, we're excited about it. I don't think there's a whole lot of surprises. If you add the 12 guys that we already all have on campus here with the 15, that the new guys that we signed letters of intent, we're excited about those guys. And I don't know where they are ranked. No, I don't care a whole lot about that, but I wouldn't trade this class for anybody else in this league. So we're looking forward to getting them in here. It's important. Our coaches, this staff's done a great job. I mean, all I did was go where they told me to do. So all the credit for this recruiting class goes to Rev and all the people in our athletic department, our coaches and GAs and all that type of thing, because they're the guys who did all the work. All I did was got in a plane and went where they told me to go. So give all the credit to those guys. They deserve it.
Obviously, the big name here is AJ Leggett. Can you talk about this kind of last couple of days? I know you went that visit to Tennessee. What was that like for you?
It's typical. I mean, that's anytime you're recruiting a kid that of that caliber of player, you know, you're going to go through some battles, especially right there at the end. And until that fax actually comes in, there's always a concern. I know Juwan talked to him multiple times last night and this morning, so did I. And you know, we felt good all along, but until that paper comes in, you're never sure, because you know, in 30 years, I've always been burned once or twice, and I was hoping that wasn't the one that burned me this morning. It wasn't. It was a good thing.
Can you talk about him though? What kind of?
He's an excellent player. I mean, he's what they say he is. I mean, he's got all the skills. He can play corner, which is what he's a big corner. He just loves to play the game. You know, if you talk about a guy that if you want to draw one up, that's what he is. And the thing I like about him is he loves football. He's tough, and it's important to him, which that's what we want in this program.
Offensive line obviously seems like it was a big focal point to you.
It was, and you know, we signed those guys. We got a kid named Eric Ainsley out of Georgia that's very long and athletic. You know, we signed him. We signed Tyler Combs. We signed 4 high school kids and a couple JC kids. Gage Nehemiah's already on campus, and we got another junior college, Billy Roan, that signed to us. So we hopefully get him here in May. So it gives us some older guys that we can develop those younger guys. But that's one area we've talked all along about. We've got to continue to fix. I think this will be the first time we've had 16 scholarship offensive linemen on campus, and that's where we want to be. Now we got to make sure that we got to get them playing. And they came a long ways a year ago, and we got to take that next step this year. And those young guys hopefully don't have to play, but some of those older guys need to come along pretty quick.
You've talked about it before, going through be successful in conference, you got to have a good defense. And, it seems like you've loaded up a lot, especially that secondary here this last couple of classes.
Well, if you look at our secondary class from a year ago, and then you add Andre Scott, who can play for anybody at safety. Todd Hartley did such a tremendous job recruiting that kid, and then of course add Leggett to that bunch and add him to the kids we already have on campus. We're excited about the way those guys can play. And that's what we have to have in this league. We have to have guys that can match up. And the one thing I'd like to get to defensively is be able to play some press man coverage, because you play the Houstons of the world and that type of thing. The screens and the quicks and all that. At some point you got to be able to get up and press them, and we're trying to get that. I think we're getting closer to getting those kind of athletes.
Coach, how much did your success in the bowl game help the Florida recruiting?
I think it was huge. I think anytime, I said all along that anytime you can showcase your program on a national stage, and there's a lot of bowl games out there, but we were one of the few that was the only game on that night. I mean, there were some games there later in the year, and with the 1st of January, 2nd January games, that type of thing, where there was 4 on at one time and you couldn't watch. But we were fortunate that our game was the only show on that night, and a lot of kids got the opportunity to watch that, and they saw what type of team we had and the way we played, and they want to be a part of that, which is good. And to be in Florida was even better, because some of those kids had the opportunity to see it.
That kind of helped branch out of Palm Beach, Dade, Broward into the other coast of Florida?
Well, we've been there. I mean, I've got 3 coaches. I've got 3 coaches that are actually recruiting the state of Florida. With Juwan, of course, in South Florida, Todd Hartley in Central Florida, kind of the Space Coast. I have Billy Legg on the West Coast, and then really have 4. I got Tony Peterson around Jacksonville in that area. So we're hitting that hard, along with Georgia, which has been good to us. So we've hit that, but to be able to pull a player like Andre Scott and Deontay Henderson out of Orlando helps. We got the center out of man, that's right there in Tampa, which won the state championship, and that's huge for us. And then of course Marcus Gilchrist from down at Port Charlotte, which is more south on the West Coast. So we kind spread things out down through there along with South Florida. So we're kind of getting them from all over the state, and it's good.
Speaking of coast, you went all the way to the West Coast for Gary Thompson. I know Van is from out there, but he had come east for prep school. How do you get connected with a guy like Thompson?
The head coach at Helix High School is a guy I coached with at Florida named Troy Starr, who's an excellent coach. He was at won state championships multiple times prior to going to Florida when I went to Florida. He's a good friend of mine. He got Trayvon squared away for us, and this Gary Thompson's an excellent player. He's a 10.5, 10.6, 100-meter guy that's a raw guy that we're really excited about, but because of Troy Starr.
Kind of exciting now, this is your third class, and now going forward, most of these guys next season will be your guy.
Yeah, I think I was looking at the offensive line the other day, and I think other than maybe 3, maybe 4 guys, the other 12 are ours. And but you're right. I think 62 of the 75 kids we had were freshmen, sophomores on last year's team. Next year, I know we only have 6 seniors. That's it. So, we're getting closer to being our guys, and not that the kids that I inherited are great kids, and we went and they really were big time as far as our success this season were concerned. So. Those guys are here. We're happy we've got, but we just added a bunch of kids that we're excited about.
Coach, were you looking for a quarterback, or just you found one that you liked?
We were looking for one. I don't think you ever go into I think every recruiting year you need to get at least one quarterback, because without a quarterback you have no chance. And we like what we've got, but to be able to add Holcomb to that list, he's an excellent player from an excellent program, and we're glad he's here.
What kind of guy is he?
He can throw it, but he's athletic enough. He's probably similar to Frohnapple. Can run it and throw it. He's not quite as fast probably as Frohnapple, but he's got a great arm, very intelligent, tough kid that he's the kind of guy we want.
Talk about picking up local product from Capital.
Yeah, we're excited about Riddell. Great, he's a great student, tough kid that we're glad to, and again, he's a West Virginia kid, and then of course Tyler Combs is not not from West Virginia, but right down the road, and be able to add Clint Van Horn is on scholarship now, so he counts towards this initial class. So we really have 2 West Virginians, and of course, with Tyler right down the road, we count that as West Virginia as part of our guys. But he's, anytime we can get a kid from West Virginia, we're excited to do that. And I'd like to have a whole team full of them. But unfortunately, there's not enough players out there. If there's a kid in West Virginia that we feel can win a championship, we're sure going to recruit him, and we're excited about the guys we got.
What's the plan for Devin Johnson today?
He's a tremendous. He's from West Virginia originally, from down around Matewan and Man in that area, and. He had 40 points and 26 rebounds in the last basketball game he played. He's a tremendous athlete that can run. He was, under Louisville, Kentucky, and a lot of people came in there late on him. And I think we may have stolen one out of there because I like what he's all about. We had him in camp. He's going to give us the kind of athlete that we need at linebacker to be able to match up in this league against the Houstons and Tulsas and those people, because our second level players have got to become more athletic and more faster to be able to do what we got to do in this conference.
So you looking more primarily to keep on the defensive side?
Yeah, he'll start out linebacker. We got enough tailbacks. I don't need another tailback. I need a linebacker that can run.
Yeah, one guy that was kind of overlooked maybe is Joe Massaquoi. He didn't sign last year. We agreed to gray shirt, and so he didn't get any attention during recruiting this year.
Yeah,
So can you talk about him a little bit?
I love him. He's a great student, a great kid. I didn't realize he's as athletic as he is. He's been here now since school started, and he's 6'5", 6'6". I think he's gained 15 pounds since he's been here in 3 or 4 weeks, and he can jump out of the gym. He's a tremendous athlete that we're really glad he's here. We're excited about him.
Is it going to be good now to the other half of this class, the guys that are just kind of sitting around this past year, guys like Samuels and Grooms? Can you talk about them? Obviously, guys that had a lot of hype.
Yeah, those are all guys that have to count in these initials. Because what we have is we have 25 initials. So if you look at the 15 we signed, those other initials that we're talking about are Sean Samuels, who's a tremendous. You guys will show those guys on tape here a little bit. That you didn't have a chance to see them, last year. But you also got Steve Dillon in there, who's a tremendous player. You got Kevin Grooms, who's a tailback that's in that class, and there's a lot of guys in that class that will count towards those initials that actually didn't sign with us, but are part of the class of 25 initials that we go forward with next year. So it's kind of a bit misconceiving what we do have in this class, because there's about 10 guys in there that are already here that aren't counted towards the ones we signed, which that's a good thing. If you look at the overall body of work in this class, I wouldn't trade it for anybody. I don't think you would either if you watch them.
Okay, can you comment on the 2 new non-qualifiers that are in school?
Well, they're not non-qualifiers right now. They're not. They're in school. Kent Turene's an excellent player. Went to Salva, Georgia a year ago. He's in school here now. And also Corey Tyndall, who's an excellent player. And again, those guys will be on that tape, but those are, they're not non-qualifiers until there's a final no, and right now that's not the case. So, they're both in school. We're glad they're here.
Doc, do you ever go back and evaluate a class, but just in your own mind about how it went, how it fared, how everybody did?
Well, you do, because, what you try to do is, we do that, Keith, and, I'm really, that first class we put together in about 2 weeks, and we lost a couple of those kids, and probably if we'd had more time to evaluate and get to know them a little better, that wouldn't have happened. This last year's class, it was pretty much intact with the exception of maybe one guy. And, I think there was 30 of them, and they're all still here, which is what it has to be. You don't want any attrition. We're going to be at the point next year where we're about 82 to 83 scholarship players. I think we were 75 to 76 this year, so we're getting closer to that 85. Next year we'll be at 85 with no issue. We'll probably have, going in, we'll have about probably 6 or 7 scholarships for next year. So that's a good thing. And that being said, we do, and the kids we have from that last recruiting class we like. And the ones from that first class, there were some good kids in that class. Gator Hoskins is starting to become a player. Kevin, Kelson played extremely well for us. Garrett Scott's playing for us. Philip Warrens of the world, and there's a lot of players. Daryl Roberts. If you go back, to that thing where we had about 3 weeks to recruit. There's some kids in that class that contributed a heck of a lot to that. To that bowl and to that season last year, and we're glad. And then if you look at the class after that, they're all still here, which is good. And then you add this class to it, we're getting where we want to be.
Looks like you're going to have to build a bigger room for the linebackers.
Well, you can't get enough of those guys. You can't, for special team purposes. And maybe the biggest improvement that we made, I thought, from the first year to the second year was our play on special teams. We won probably about half those games, or more than that. About every game we won was because of special teams. We blocked 6 punts a year ago. Every one of those games we won, that we blocked a punt in. We were 6-0 blocking a punt, and the Kelsons, Zach, all those guys that just be able to get those guys running down on kickoffs, kickoff returns, and you watch that tape here a little bit. There's going to be some skill there that you'll see. Zach Dunston was the other guy who was involved in that punt block, but those guys can help you on special teams, which is a big part of the third phase we got to win.
Speaking of special teams, obviously you lose Case, you lose Tyler. You still be looking for a kicker, punter?
Well, we got a punter here enrolled in January. There was a prep school guy that's out there right now, and of course, we got a couple guys on campus that we think can do that. And but we'll see what happens here in the spring. We have a couple guys we think are pretty good.
Your long snapper that you got, it seems like he can really fly down the field.
I like him because in our scheme of things, we don't ask our long snapper to protect. And if you watch our punt, we have a premium placed on coverage, which means we got missiles that you'll see Aaron Dobsons and Bookers, and you'll see all those guys we get free released to force the fair catch. The one thing we did well in that bowl game was going into that thing, they were number 1 in American punt returns. They had 0 return yards against us, and that was because of our coverage. Well, now what we've done is we take Matt Sakata, who's not only a great long snapper, we had him in camp, but he's also a great football player. He's not very big, but he can run like crazy. He played in the Shrine game in North Carolina. But now he'll give us a long snapper that can run. Tyson was a good snapper, but he couldn't run. And we told him the same thing. But that gives us a guy that can actually give you another missile in your scheme of things that they have to account for, and that helps you with coverage.
Like, I know you don't put too much stock in the stars and the rankings and that kind of stuff, but do the players you're talking to, the kids you're trying to get to join your class, do they pay attention to who else might be in the class with them?
No, I think so. I think anytime you can get a commitment from an A.J. Leggett, from the kind of kids we've got here right now, the Kent Tureens, those guys that are whatever stars they are, but they're being recruited by, they say, well, something's going on there. We lost a kid that was us from Florida, and I thought we had a great shot at him. So we're, the other kid goes to Tennessee, we got a chance to get that kid, but we're getting kids that other people want, which is a good thing, and we're in some battles with some really good schools out there. And that's one thing our staff does is we don't, just because somebody else is recruiting doesn't mean that we're not going to go after them. We're going after the same guys that the Floridas and Tennessees and those other schools are going after, and we'll take our chances and we'll get a few of them. That's what's happening.
And a little more along those lines now with like social media, like Facebook and Twitter, and these players that maybe wouldn't normally necessarily talk to each other from different parts of the state. Now they have the chance to communicate with each other and the fans. What kind of other aspects does that add in recruiting?
I hate it. It's just, that Facebook and Twitter and all that stuff, you guys like it, I hate it. It's you know, I guess it's okay. I mean, I don't get involved in it. I don't, but it's dangerous, to be honest with you, at times, what's happened to these kids with this stuff. I mean, you got to be so careful with, you know, there's a lot of kids that have ruined their lives and ruined their careers by saying something stupid on Facebook or Twitter. And I don't know. You know, we try to do a great job with our players on campus with that, but it's scary what's going on out there in the social media with the internet and Twitter and all that. There's things we have to worry about now as coaches we never had to worry about in the past. Before, you just worry about recruiting, playing ball, or coaching ball. Now you got to worry about what the hell your kids say on Twitter. So I don't know. I don't like it, to be honest with you.
Coach, with a kid like Leggett who lives in Tennessee, obviously there are facilities and money, it's SEC. How do you combat that? How do you convince them to come?
Well, in about a year, we're going to have nice facilities like they are. We're going to build $30 million worth of facilities, and our indoor is going to be just as nice as theirs. And, you know, but that's, you know, it's not all about, you know, what we try to talk about is, and I've said it 100 times, is there's bigger budgets, there's bigger programs out there, but there's not a program in America that means more to their fan base and community than what Marshall University does, because we went through the crash in 1970. And I truly mean that. And we bring those kids on campus, you know, they feel that. You know, we go into those restaurants, we go to places, and just the passion that the people here in town and part of the university have, you know, for our program and for this community is just unbelievable. And, you know, it's not all about bricks and mortar, about brick and mortar. It's about the coaches, and our coaches do a tremendous job. It's about the relationships. And I tell kids all the time, I say the greatest thing in the world, if done properly, is coach-player relationship. And I can assure you it's been done properly here, and that's why we're getting the kids that we're getting. You know, the Juwan Siders of the world, the Todd Hartleys, those guys out there that I've got recruiting are doing such a great job with these kids, they can't tell them no. And that's what has to happen. And, you know, we're going to be relentless recruiters. We're not going to be, I mean, I've hired 7 guys, I got 2 more coming that have the same philosophy that I do, and that'll never change because it's a personnel-driven game. And when people forget that, they get beat. You know, we got good players, we got a chance to win, but we'll be good coaches. And, you know, to me, it's all about recruiting. That's where it starts, and I think our guys have done a great job of doing that.
This was the first year that you would be able to use that facilities thing to your advantage. Did you stress that a lot to your?
Absolutely. I mean, yeah. I mean, we try to get the advantage of everything we got, and what's got to happen. And Mike Hamrick knows that. And you know, there's got to be a shovel going to the ground. If we got to pull a bulldozer out there this summer and park it, whatever we got to do. You know, when those kids walk in there, everything's getting started, and that has to happen because, you know, once we get those facilities, in order, we'll go from probably last in this league in facilities to first or second, which is where we want to go. And that's where we are going. And, you know, kids buy with their eyes. I said that all along. And, you know, to be able to walk in that new indoor with an 8-lane track around it, and, you know, to be able to walk in there in the Hall of Fame and show Randy and Chad and Troy and all the great players that have come through here, and to show them a sports medicine center second to none, that's going to make a heck of a difference. And it's important that we get rolling because it's going to be important for us to go win championships, and not just football, but the entire athletic department needs that. And Mike Hamrick's doing a great job of getting it done.
One guy we hadn't asked about yet was Chris Hall. He's obviously a BCS level athlete who has potential at several different positions.
Yeah, we had him in camp last year, and he's an excellent athlete. As you mentioned, he's big, he can run. I don't know if he's going to be a D end, a tight end. I know he played quarterback in high school. I think Virginia Tech was recruiting him as a tight end, but he'll play somewhere. He's a good kid that is very athletic, and that's where it starts. So we'll find out where he's going to be, but he can play somewhere. I like him.
Give you a better emergency quarterback than Kelson?
I don't know. I kind of like Kelson in there. Thank God we have to play him, but you watch Kelson run around out there. He's exciting. I'd like to put him in a game one day. I may do that next year. We may have a little Kelson package there or something. But, anything else? Hey, guys, I really appreciate it. Thanks, huh?